welcome and welcome back to my channel. Here we go again with another episode of my shadow work series. So today we're going to be talking about feeling disconnected, either feeling spiritually disconnected or disconnected from your intuition, and what it means by going through it. What do I mean when I say that? Because I feel like I say that a lot on this channel. Really what it means is just going through your shadows, working through your shadows, working through the dips, the downs, the low periods. Honestly, without further ado, I'm just going to get started and we're just going to hop right into it because this needs to come out today. I know I've taken a little bit on putting this one out, but that is because I am actually working through my own shadows at this time. You know, like I'm never going to preach to the choir and not walk my talk. So here we go. So let's start off with ways that feeling disconnected can show up. And these are just the most common ones that I tend to experience and that I've noticed in others is that you tend to have a heavy heart. You know, you tend to feel like, oh my gosh. Okay, literally as soon as I said that, there's a tree with a heart. Okay, hang on. Guys, I can't make this up. Literally, like, of all the things to be graffitied on a tree as I said that. That's funny. The first and foremost, the first thing I'll ever start feeling like for myself, and even when I'm, you know, doing healing on others, is I will first always pick up a heavy heart. Always. Like I can immediately notice when someone's going through a low period is because it's like an anvil. It's like someone dropped like a 2-ton elephant on their heart and it just feels so weighed down. And that shows that there's a disconnect because it feels like, you know, you begin to feel like you can't trust spirit, or you feel like there's no trust between you and the divine, and that there isn't a level of trust in, you know, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to get out on the other side, I see what this is all for, kind of thing. You know, and it shows up as difficulty connecting to spirit. And feeling weighed down doesn't just have to mean energetically, it can actually mean physically. You know, like whenever I am in these kind of low periods, I physically feel tired. I get tired very easily. Like if I don't already feel fatigued, I get tired very, very easily. I don't want to get out of bed. It was just the other day, I don't know, it was like the first thing that when I woke up, I had one of these low moments and I got out of bed like 5 different times and then went back into bed 5 different times and was like, I know I would feel better if I did some yoga or something, but I'm literally just, you know, it's like you can't motivate yourself. And it's because your body's feeling tired from carrying all of this, you know, emotional and energetic weight. It makes sense. And so when you're feeling weighed down, oh my gosh, like you also struggle to grasp the messages that you're getting, you know? And it's like, I'll pull cards for myself and I'll see and kind of get the message that I'm getting, but not exactly. It's like when you're trying to remember a word and it's like kind of on the tip of your tongue and you get the energy behind the word, but you can't remember the word. It's like that. Like you're kind of struggling to get a clear picture of what you're seeing. And that leads to pushing, trying to make sense of what you're getting, and that leads to frustration. And you know, getting frustrated is something that we all experience and that we all find our own ways to cope and to deal with. You know, when I find that I struggle to get the message or that I'm struggling to connect and really having to push myself, which I've talked about before is not a good idea to do so, but you know, it happens. Inevitably it happens. You know, and I start second guessing myself, like, can I actually do this? Or I start beating myself up and then I start saying, you know, I could hear clearer before, I could see clearer before. Why is it so hard now? And you start getting upset that, you know, it's not coming as easily to you as it did before. And it's that self-comparison that kind of does you in sometimes. You know, it's like, well, I was getting so much back then, why am I not getting anything now? And so in a sense, you know, it's that feeling of I just took 2 steps back. Even though you know it's not really 2 steps back. You're always making forward progress even if it feels like you're not. And so I'm not here to say that you shouldn't feel frustrated, that you're not entitled to feel frustrated when these kind of feelings arise for you. That's not the whole point of this at all. The point is the self-awareness of the frustration and being able to detach yourself from it and observe what's coming up and observe the frustration. You know, it's like take a step back and observe the person who's getting fed up and angry and why they're getting fed up and angry. This is where you begin to create this space where you're able to bring in another perspective. You begin to separate yourself from your ego and create a space where you can witness from another perspective. And perspective is so important. It is everything. It is literally everything to this existence, you know. And sometimes I feel like it's so underrated because it's not a tangible thing and it's not something that you can really hold or have like attach an amount to, but it is so incredibly priceless when you are able to apply a different perspective, and it literally shifts your whole life around. I say it all the time because it's important. Next part, this next disconnect, is cloudy intuition. And I use finger quotes here because you're never truly disconnected from your intuition. You just need to realize and recognize when it's focused on the light and when it's focused on the shadow. When you're focused on the light, clarity comes so easily to you. The messages come so easily to you. You're working from your heart center. You are so connected and you're able to see possibilities for your present, your future. You're able to see your past for what it is. It's easy to trust and spot the signs with no problem. Life is good, right? And when it's focused on the shadow, it has a greater emphasis on your emotional state and what's going on internally. You're more likely to be tuned in to your own doubts, to your own insecurities, to any kind of like internal tower moments or where things are shifting internally and bringing up stuff that needs to be cleansed out or released. You're more tuned into that. In fact, you're way more likely to be tuned into things that activate or trigger you. And I like using activations instead of triggers. I picked this up from another healer and it really resonated with me because essentially things that trigger you are essentially activating you to do some kind of internal work, because if you were at peace with it, it wouldn't trigger you, right? So just my 2 cents there, but you can use whatever word you want. So yeah, I feel that this is important to note because, you know, oftentimes I see people, and myself even, although I've done some learning since the first few rodeos I've gone through, like my shadow work with. But it's important because your intuition's not disconnected. It's just focusing on another perspective. And it's like going into a room and turning the lights off, right? It's not that you can't see at all. It's that now you're seeing in a different way. And you're seeing with different eyes. Essentially, you're learning how to use your night vision. You know, your intuition is still there. Your intuition is still working. It's just tuned in to a different part of the cycle. So I got really curious about this one actually, and I was sitting and had some time with my guides to really ask, because I was curious, is there any way to break out of like the shadow work cycle? Not that that's my intention, but, you know, I just get really curious and I ask big questions like that. She very clearly showed me ups and downs, ups and downs. That was my answer. And funny enough, you know, it's sometimes like the simplest things that just tell you everything you need to know. And essentially what the response was it is the natural cycle, such as the seasons, you know, night and day, you know, gravity, what comes up must come down. It is the natural order of things on this earth, to go up, to go down, the light and the dark. And if you haven't noticed before, we tend naturally to go more inwards during the winter months, just like everything else on this earth. You know, plants will shift the energy downward towards the roots. They're no longer going to be producing externally, most plants anyways. They're not going to be producing leaves and flowers until the spring, and that's when the energy is more outward. But in the fall, they go more inward. Same with people. You know, it's cold outside for most of us in the winter months, but, you know, we go more inwards, and so does our mental state. That's why, you know, so fittingly, during going into like the later half of the year, a lot of us tend to go more inwards. That's when a lot of our shadow work begins to come out. So think about it like this. When the rest of the earth goes inward, we go inward too. This is also something that really got me into thinking that I'm sure that there are people out there on their journeys trying to break out of the whole like up and down cycle. And I'm sure in one way or another it's probably possible. I mean, nothing is impossible in my book. But it really got me into thinking, why would you want to break out of it? You know, because that essentially disconnects you from the natural rhythms of the earth. And so for me anyways, you know, I live on this earth. This earth is my home, and I would hope that everyone else considers it their home too. And so I would want to be as connected to the earth as humanly possible. You know, we are already so disconnected where it just seems more sense to come into the natural balance of things by tuning back into the earth's natural cycles. That's just me anyway, but I would love to hear your opinion on this topic. It's just something that really came to me after I had this discussion with my spirit guide. So anyways, so yeah, you know, to always take a look. Is your intuition focusing you on the light at this time, or is it focusing you on the shadow? You know, whenever you come across this video, and hopefully in some way it empowers you with another perspective of where you are in your journey. Because, you know, a lot of us here are stumbling around in the dark, and hopefully this can shed some kind of light your way and, you know, get you out of the dark, get you out of the crevices. Okay, and before I end this video, I did have a message for the collective that I wanted to share that I received as I was writing down all my notes of what I wanted to say. And it was this. Remember to be compassionate with yourself and to be compassionate with others around you. Listen and learn how to receive in the silence. Go outside and listen to nature and observe how she goes inwards with the trees, with the leaves, with the animals, and all the other beings. In reconnecting with nature, she will show you through shadow. She will hold you through shadow. And through this, you will find healing. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to end this video there. Yeah. So let me know if anything resonated with you in the comments down below. Let me know where you are in your journey right now. I can definitely tell you I sense a couple of rocky dips coming up for me in the next couple of months, but you know what? We're just gonna keep on going through it because we are resilient here. But other than that, I think I'm gonna switch up the energy for the next video and come up with something a little bit more fun just to sprinkle some joy through the shadows. And yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Kind of off topic, but I guess on topic. You know, it makes sense, but I absolutely do not, everywhere I am trying to record this video, I do not want to sit where it's open and light, which makes sense, right? I keep gravitating towards shadows, and funny enough, trees. I've probably had a few trees in the background of each video, which trees signify strength and being able to stand strong and weather any kind of adversity for the most part. So what I'm wanting to say is that I'm still connected to my intuition because my intuition keeps drawing me to sit in the shadows while I'm trying to film a video about shadow work. Just pointing that out.